Hello and welcome everybody. We're going to get started here shortly. I just want to give everyone a chance to join in. And I also want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. You'll see in a second, I'm wearing my green and I'm ready for an awesome discussion with some rock star guests. While we wait, I have a fun fact about St. Patrick's Day since we're celebrating the season. I learned recently and I wanted to share. So we should probably actually be wearing blue and not green. According to records, St. Patrick's official color was actually St. Patrick's blue and was more of like a light sky blue. So if you're not wearing green today and someone tries to pinch you, but you are wearing blue, well, then you can throw that fun fact at them and pinch them back. Awesome. So we've got some people joining in here. I'm seeing the number trickle up. Let's see. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. Jody, it's great to see you back in here. This is like your third time joining us. I think hopefully you're learning something. Awesome. Cool. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. There we go. Camera's on. Alrighty, let's see here. Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Use Google Reviews to Grow in 2022. I am your host and digital marketing evangelist, Justin Meredith. Today's topic is one that I've been excited for quite a while now, and I feel like this is one of the most common hurdles that we see businesses face nowadays. And they ask us, how do we get more Google reviews? How do they affect SEO? And how does having a lot of reviews, or maybe not a lot, impact my business? Luckily, these are all questions we're going to answer today. And by the way, if you haven't seen our previous Google webinars, I highly recommend checking those out on our website. We cover a range of awesome topics from Google business profiles to simple SEO tips and a variety of other things like Google business messages. Now, before I introduce our guests, I just have a couple of housekeeping things to go over. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to leave them on the right side of your screen. There should be a Q&A box located there on the right. And we are more than happy to answer your questions. So no questions are too small, so feel free to ask and we'll try to answer as many as we can. Just as a quick PSA, Birdeye and Google have an amazing relationship. And this relationship spans all sorts of really cool features, as you can see on this slide. But for today, we're going to showcase the relationship between Birdeye and Google Reviews. But I did want to take a second and point out that there is a lot that you can do between Birdeye and Google. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce today's guests. And first up, we have Carmen Garcia, the brand manager for Strickland Brothers 10-Minute Oil Change. Carmen, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Strickland Brothers 10-Minute Oil Change?
Yeah, absolutely. So simply put, Strickland Brothers 10-Minute Oil Change is a quick lube franchise. We do 10-minute drive-through oil changes. The company was founded in 2016 and started franchising in 2019. Since then, we've grown to approximately 8 locations, and we have several hundred licenses sold to continue growing all across the United States. I've been with the company in my role as brand manager for about 8 months, and I'm kind of the voice of the brand. I'm responsible for social media management, content creation, website management, and customer care and communication.
Awesome. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, Joey Rendazzo. Joey is a leading SEO expert and is the CEO of SEO Growth Partners, an SEO company based out of Portland, and they're currently helping over 100 companies increase their digital exposure. Joey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Justin.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and SEO Growth Partners?
Yeah. I've been in the SEO space now for close to 7 years, and started SEO Growth Partners about 4 years ago. We've helped hundreds of brands grow and increase their digital exposure on Google, and we specialize in helping local businesses, those that need Google reviews, and have all that localized approach, gain more exposure and more traffic. So very excited to be here.
That's awesome. And if this is your first time watching a webinar with us, Joey actually was one of my first webinar guests that I've had here at Birdeye, where he offered his simple SEO tips, how to rank better on Google. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, make sure to go to our website and check that out. It's an awesome discussion, and I think we even made a blog about it because it was so good. So before we jump into Google reviews and how to get more and how to use them to boost your ranking, I wanted to push a quick poll to the audience, and I want to get a feel for how everyone here is feeling. So the question that we've got is, there it goes. How many Google reviews does your business have right now? There are no wrong answers. I just wanted to ask this question for the audience to get a feel for how, where everyone is at. So just give everyone a couple of minutes to answer that. And once they see the answers have slowed down, we can get started here. All righty. Cool. So it looks like the numbers have slowed down and we've got our results. So I'm going to share our results. And it looks like the top answer we had with 58% of the responses was 0 to 50. And so Joey, real quick, is this something that you've kind of seen from your experience of just online and seeing businesses and your clients and kind of where they start out with? Is this something?
Absolutely. This is pretty standard. I would even say with the current clients that we work with, it would probably be even 75% of folks at 0 to 50. So that's kind of encouraging to see that this group is on top of their Google review generation.
That's awesome. And hopefully the goal, I think, is for everybody here to be above that 200 mark. So we're gonna, and hopefully with these tips we can get to that. But awesome. So thank you all for whoever was able to submit their answer. And so let's dive right in. Awesome. So let's talk about the power of Google reviews. And Joey, I think the best place to start is with you. So can you tell us about the impact that Google reviews have on SEO?
Yeah, so we need to think about how Google operates as an entity, right? So when someone goes to Google and does a query like massage near me or best oil change services in Portland, Oregon, Google is looking at 200 plus different what are called ranking factors to determine who ranks on Google for that query, particularly in the maps area of Google, that area called the Google local pack where 3 businesses show up. And over time, Google has relied more and more on Google reviews as a ranking factor. And this is particularly important because I'm sure that everyone in the audience has done this before, but more and more people are going to Google searching for very hyper-specific queries, as well as queries around best, for example, best restaurant near me, best oil change services in Seattle, Washington. And Google has to determine what best means. And how Google does that is with reviews. So if you were to go to Google right now and do a query, whatever business service entity you're in, go to Google and type in best and then do it near me or in your city. And you'll see that Google automatically changes the results to show those businesses that have better reviews, higher quality reviews and more reviews. So if you were to go to Google and just type in oil change near me, or go to Google and type in best oil change near me, you're going to see 2 different results. And that's how people search for things. And that's how Google gains trust to know which business it should rank over others. And it's heavily relying on Google reviews to do that. So the more Google reviews, higher quality Google reviews, you're giving yourself a better opportunity to rank in what's called that Google local pack. And I call it beachfront real estate on the internet.
Yeah, and that's so true that it really is. I can't remember the exact number, but I know that it's an extremely high percentage of people don't even make it to that second page. So being able to rank within that top section, that beachfront real estate on the search result.
I have some data to share there is very few people make it to page 2, but for localized queries where that Google Maps area, the Google local pack shows up, over 50% of people engage with one of those 3 businesses. So if there's 1,000 people per month searching for your services, 500 of them are going to engage with one of the 3 businesses at the top that show up in the maps area, and then they're going to go below the maps. It is an insane amount of people that are engaging with those top 3 businesses. And that's why I call it beachfront real estate on the internet.
And it really is. So Carmen, from your point of view, from the business side, why is it important for businesses to continuously collect Google reviews?
Yeah, so outside of making Google happy, from a business perspective, I think it's kind of twofold. It allows us to get valuable insights on the customer experience and what they look for in their interactions with us as a business. And it also allows us to build trust and credibility as a business. We are people are putting their safety in our hands. We deal with people's cars, and that's really important. So it is important that we collect those reviews, positive, negative, all of them, because it gives people something to look for when they're looking for a company that they can trust to handle their car.
Definitely. And I think that last part you said, that key word to me is trust, especially within
Absolutely.
the automotive service industry, such as yourself. Before I do anything that even comes close to my car, I make sure reviews, because especially because it's something I don't know about. I'm not a car guy. So that
Right.
trust from the reviews and knowing that other people, trust Strickland Brothers to provide them with a great service, that could carry a lot of weight in the mind of a person who's trying to figure out where to go. And that can go for any business.
Mhm.
So Joey, let's go back to you and let's talk a little bit about what Google finds important. So for reviews specifically, what factors of reviews does Google find important?
Yeah, so there's three really important things that Google is looking at. It's the quality of the review, right? Are you at 4.6 stars or are you at 2.3 stars? The number of reviews, do you have 1,000 Google reviews or do you have one Google review? And also what I call the velocity of reviews. And this last one is something that people do not think about. So I'll give you a quick example and I think it'll make sense. So let's say I'm looking for a personal trainer in Austin, Texas. And I go to Google and I type in personal trainer in Austin, Texas. If there's a personal trainer that has 100 Google reviews, but they have not gotten a Google review in 9 months, Google notices that. Google says, oh, they got 100 Google reviews. That's awesome, but they haven't gotten a review in 9 months. And let's say there's a new competitor that came in that only has 30 Google reviews, but they've been averaging 6 reviews every single month, 6 wonderful reviews every single month. Google's taking that velocity of reviews into consideration. So it's not just, oh, I got to the top of the pile, I've got 5 more reviews than my closest competitor. I'm going to sit back and chill out on getting more Google reviews. I'm good to go. That's not really how Google's algorithm works. And the reason why is Google wants businesses to be active. So another thing that Google's looking at is also responding to reviews. They want to know that you're active and that you're engaging with your audience. Good review, bad review, it doesn't matter. If you're not responding, Google has a little bit of a question. I'm kind of humanizing Google here. Are they there? Like, are they active? Are they in business? Are they, do they care about their customers? And so responding to every review is also something that Google is looking at. So those are some of the big factors that Google cares about when it comes to reviews.
Interesting. So just to reiterate, that's the quantity, the quality, and the velocity of Google reviews. So those are the 3 main pillars that whenever you're collecting them and managing them, that's something to think about. And you led right perfectly into the next topic, which is review management. And not just getting reviews, but what do you do with them once you have them? So Joey, let's talk to you real fast, and I'd like to start off with, what is the value of responding to reviews? Can they factor into SEO in any way? How does that work?
Yeah, so they can. It's a very small ranking factor of responding to reviews. Google is looking at that. So all things created perfectly equal. You have 100 reviews, your competitor has 100 reviews. Everything else magically is exactly equal. If your competitor responds to reviews and you don't, Google's going to trust them more than they trust you. I would say the other thing is Google knows that you're going to get negative reviews. A lot of clients ask me like, I just got a negative review. What should I do? Are my rankings going to drop overnight? And the answer is likely no. Google knows that in this world, with Strickland Brothers, maybe the line's just a little bit long today and someone spent an extra 5 minutes and they were late to their next meeting and they left a 3-star review or a 2-star review. That's going to happen. Like, business is business, and those types of activities are going to happen that are out of your control, and Google knows that. Now, if you get 8 negative reviews in a row, that's a different story. But so I would say getting a negative review, positive review, all of those things are impacting your SEO, but do not get too worried about the negative review. That's actually a really great opportunity, and I think Carmen's going to speak to that, about how negative reviews and managing positive negative reviews are actually an opportunity to increase conversion when it comes to people searching, do I go to this business, or this business?
Exactly. And Carmen, let's swing it to you. Is this something that is responding to reviews something that Strickland Brothers does? And if so, what is exactly where have you found the value in responding to reviews from a business perspective?
Yeah, so we absolutely respond to reviews. We respond to every single review, positive or negative. And the value in responding to these reviews kind of goes back, I mean, Joey touched on it a little bit, but it goes back to that trust and credibility. You're responding, particularly to the negative reviews. Customers are seeing that when they're searching for where they want to go get their oil change. And they're seeing, we're not just posting these canned responses, but we're actually contacting these people and resolving the issues. And it just goes back to building that trust.
Definitely. And like you said, it's that trust, and that's always the big keyword for me when it comes to reviews. Is that's the big thing is good reviews build trust, and that's just kind of they go hand in hand to me. So what exactly does the process of responding to reviews look like for you, Carmen?
Um, so I am a one-woman show. I respond to all of our reviews, but we do utilize the Birdeye auto response templates and set those up to rotate through a couple different responses. We have some for both negative reviews and positive reviews. There's no way with the amount of locations we have and the amount of reviews we get that I personally or even a small team could handle all of the reviews.
Awesome. And just in case people aren't aware, how many reviews does Strickland Brothers have?
We are currently sitting around 16,000 reviews.
That's insane. That's awesome. Sorry, I was gonna
Yeah.
brag for you. I wanted everybody to know that because
Thank
that's
you.
so incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Now, before we move on, I want to stop and focus on negative reviews, kind of as Joey's pointing out. And I think there can be a small level of fear of negative reviews among businesses. And I'm sure everyone has seen or even experienced an instant where someone tries to get what they want by threatening a negative review. But Joey, for your perspective, how much does a negative review impact your business from an online SEO perspective? And like exactly how much does it take for it to take you out of the local 3-pack?
Yeah, so I think as I alluded to earlier, it's I can't give a clear and defined answer, right? Because at Google, it's strange, and every industry is a little bit different. So if you're if you're in the oil change industry, and you get one negative review, but you have 16,000, and your competitors don't have anywhere near 16,000, it's like the tiniest drop in an ocean. It's not. If you're a lawyer in Denver, Colorado, and it's most lawyers don't have 16,000 reviews because they're not high volume. If you have 20 reviews and you get one-star review, could that be enough to move the needle? Potentially. It's hard to say, but what I would say is the response to the review is really important, and a negative review is not guaranteed to stay negative. So what's interesting is that people can edit their reviews. So if someone has you're a doctor, someone comes into the office, they have a negative review, it's not stuck. Carmen and her team, they do a wonderful job of reaching out to people, actually getting on the phone with them, trying to solve their problem. And they've had instances where they've actually had a negative review get edited and not be either maybe turned to a positive review or not as negative. Instead of a 1-star review, it's maybe a 3-star review. And that makes a huge difference. And Google's noticing that. When Google sees a 1-star review get converted to a 3-star review or a 4-star review, that is huge for your SEO because Google knows that you really, really, really care about your target audience.
Awesome. Carmen, so if I were to come into Strickland Brothers and let's say I didn't have my coffee, I was cranky, and it doesn't matter what you guys did, I was going to leave a 1-star review. What would the process what's your process for managing that?
So outside of we respond to the review first and foremost, outside of that, our big focus is that we take negative reviews. Anything below a 3-star is what we consider negative on our end. And we go and assign that ticket or that review to an area manager or the franchisee for that location. And then we give them a 48-hour time period to reach out to that customer and talk to them, find out what went wrong, how we can do better. We'll give them a discount for their next oil change, whatever we have to do to kind of earn their trust back and get them back in the building. And 9 times out of 10, it does work. They are so astounded that we took the time to contact them, which is something that, according to a lot of our reviewers, never happens from a company. They're so shocked and so excited that we even took the time to listen to them that they absolutely are willing to come back and give us another shot.
Interesting. You know, and I think that might be a common thing that happens is when people leave a negative review, it's more so that they're just trying to vent out their frustration and they're not really
Sure.
expecting a response. And when you do respond and you really make the effort to, to make it right, I think that goes a long way. So from your opinion, like what carries a bigger impact, the negative review that was left or how you responded to it?
How you respond to it, absolutely. Negative reviews, as Joey touched on, like they can leave a dent depending on how many you have, but they also are a great learning opportunity. So for us, we find out what went wrong and we respond to it, and that's what turns it around for us and for the customer.
Yeah, and especially if it's a negative review that is maybe an occurrence where it's a common problem or something like that, that can help you improve your own business. So
Absolutely.
not just taking the negative review as a negative review, but looking at it as an opportunity to improve yourself and help make the experience better for the customer. It's kind of just I think of negative reviews as an opportunity to do awesome, to be better.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so before we jump into the next talking point, I want to remind everybody to please ask your questions. We have experts here that are ready to answer them, and I just take advantage of that opportunity as well. So let's jump into the next thing, and that's going to be common challenges. So Joey, let's go to you. And whenever you have a new client that walks through your doors and they're trying to tell you what they're dealing with and how they need your services to help, what are some of the challenges that they present in regards to Google reviews? And how are some ways that you were able to help them overcome those?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest, this is twofold, is they don't know how to ask properly for Google reviews. And then the other side is when they do ask, they're usually not asking in the right way. And so every business is a little bit different. So for example, the first one is I'll hear things like, I'm a doctor or a dentist, and on our checkout, like on our front lobby desk, we have a little piece of paper that says, please leave a Google review. Is that not enough? And it's like, the average person that's just going to the dentist and going out, they might notice it. They probably don't notice it. And they don't even know where to go to leave a review. The average, a lot of people aren't tech savvy to know, like, I need to go to Google first. I need to type in your business name, or is there a link that I can go to, or is there a QR code? And so the first part is usually asking incorrectly, or having a process set up incorrectly. For a very high volume business like Strickland Brothers, you need it as automated as possible. They're seeing hundreds and hundreds of people a day. Now, for a business like myself, where we work with a select few partners every month, me automating a Google review to them would feel very strange because we're talking to them so often to where they get some random text message of like, please leave a Google review from, SEO Growth Partners in Portland. They're going to be like, Joey, I just got off the phone with you like 30 minutes ago. This is very strange. And so for every business, there's a proper way to ask. Sometimes it's more appropriate to ask in an automated fashion, or if you're in a very specialized industry where you're spending a lot of time with your clients, you're going to want the personalized approach. You're going to want a customized email. You're going to want to ask them maybe in person. And so that's the biggest thing is the clients don't know how to ask. And the second thing is they don't give users the very clear direction of a checklist of here's how you leave the review, which Birdeye makes that process very clear in an automated perspective. So when someone goes into Strickland Brothers, Carmen doesn't have to think about, okay, this is the 112th person that came in today. We need to make sure to send them a request for a Google review. That would be literally impossible to do. So those are some of the things that I hear on my end.
Interesting. Carmen, do you have anything to add? What kind of challenges have you been facing?
Yeah, I think our biggest challenge would be the fact that we are a franchise business and we have locations all over the US. So just ensuring that we have a good, solid online presence and are able to pull in reviews from all of these locations was an absolute necessity for us. And the way we did that, as we all know, is Birdeye.
Awesome. And I'm seeing the questions come in. Shannon, we've got one for you, Carmen, that I'll ask it to you here in a second, but I'm seeing the questions
Sure.
in, so thank you guys for asking those, and we'll get to those. So I think the next the big topic that I think everybody here has been, the reason why they signed up is, how do I get more Google reviews? So Joey, let's start with you. So what are some ways that you've seen businesses bring in more reviews, whether it's clients or just examples of people that you've seen? What, from your perspective, what are some ways that you found to be successful?
Ask, right? That's the first most basic. If you did nothing else but just gently ask people to leave a review, you're going to increase your number of reviews, right? There's layers, there's crawl, walk, run that you can do. And so for a business like myself, right, after I have a good trusting relationship with a client, I share the impact of the review. I say, hey, like, we know that you've got more calls and you've got more business because of the SEO services that we've provided. We would love to support more businesses like yours. And one way for us to do that is to get more Google reviews on our end, because it increases our trust. We're a small business. We employ, a lot of military spouses and talented people, and we want to continue to grow our business and support our team and support more businesses like you. If you could spend 60 seconds to leave a Google review, it would mean so much to us. And that's usually enough to move the needle, right? Like sharing the why. So that's one strategy, is just asking. On the very other end of the spectrum is automating those reviews, connecting them to your POS system with a platform like Birdeye, to where if you're seeing multiple patients or clients or customers every single day, dozens a day, you can't ask every single person to leave a review. It just is not feasible. So having the other side of the spectrum of automating it is an absolute necessity, because likely if you're a high volume business, your competitors are high volume businesses, and the number of reviews is pretty substantial. It's hundreds of reviews that you're potentially competing against, versus in my space, we have nearly 100 reviews. Our closest competitor has 40. So we're at a much lower volume because, companies like us can't have thousands of clients. We have a cap there. So hopefully that is insightful.
Interesting. And something that kind of just came to my mind is, one, it's important to ask, but also you got to make it easy for them to leave a review. And so that it's not so much just, hey, can you leave us a review? Find us on Google and maybe try to leave something if you can and log into your Gmail or whatever. But if you can make it extremely easy, where it's a 1 to 2 click process and they're done, that's game changing, really. I mean, life moves fast now, really fast. And so making it as easy as possible to just let them leave a review at their convenience, it's a complete game changer.
How we do that, I can speak to that very briefly, is we give them the short link. So I ask for reviews via email. So I'll send an email to that person. Again, I'll explain why it's so valuable. And then I'll give 4 to 5 example reviews that they can pull from. I say, hey, I know you're busy. Here are 4 to 5 example reviews. Feel free to use them as a template. Feel free to not even look at them and write your own review from scratch, just trying to make your life easier. So if you can tell them where to go and give them example review templates that then they can pull from, it makes their life so much easier.
Awesome. And so Carmen, I'd like to give you the floor. How are you able to get so many Google reviews? We know you use Birdeye, but what exactly does that look like?
So Birdeye integrates with our POS system. So from 24 hours after a customer has their oil changed or whatever service they received with us, we automatically have that set up to just push out that review request, where they can choose to leave it through Google or through Birdeye itself, or directly message us. And it's really, really simple. We do emails and text, and we have a very, very good response rate with that. And that's how we are able to continue pulling all of those reviews in for all of our locations.
Awesome. And you said something interesting about continue to, and that reminds me of what Joey was saying earlier about velocity and making sure that it's coming in consistently. Because I think that might be the toughest part, is like anybody can ask for a review on Tuesday, but they might forget by Thursday. Doing it consistently every day for every customer, no matter what, that's the key right there, is that consistency. And so I want to leave a lot of time for questions. And I've seen we got a ton in here, so I'm really excited for that. But I did want to point out that, as we've talked about a little bit about today, is Birdeye does completely automate the process of generating reviews. You can automatically send out the review request as soon as your customer finishes a transaction, And when they leave a review, you can automatically respond to it with an automated templated response. And you can do all that without lifting a finger. And if you want to make it more personal, kind of like for if you're a business like Joey's, where it's a lot more close relationship, you can have personalized messages and send it to your customers that way, all from the same dashboard. I mean, really, if you think about it, the amount of time it would take to manage all of the reviews of all of your locations, and as I said, consistently, day after day, week after week, that is just, it just isn't possible, especially if you have a lot of locations such as you, Carmen. And that's not even counting all of the other review sites outside of Google. That's Facebook, that's all the other ones too. And so, I just wanted to point that out there and just kind of give a little bit more clarification. I've seen a couple of the questions come in asking about Birdeye and how it works. And within that text automated, that follows a transaction, you can have it with a link to your Google, to the Google review, so that they get the text messages, they click one link, and all of a sudden they're on Google right there leaving the review. Or if you want to do it for Facebook or any other kind of website that you receive most of your reviews from. So that's really kind of like what makes it so much easier to manage. And I think that's why you're able to do so much. And I just think a lot of that is due to that API partnership that we have with Google that I had mentioned at the beginning. Do you guys have anything to add or anything like that?
I just have one quick thing to add on a very high level. I talked a lot about ranking. So like reviews can help you rank, but what businesses care about is actually getting customers and clients, right? And so what's really important about getting more reviews is users behave in a very human-like, process. So if someone types in best florist near me, they're looking for flowers, and there's 3 businesses that rank in the Google local pack. Ranking's not enough these days. If you're ranking and you have 50 reviews, and the 2 other businesses that are ranking have 150 reviews, as a user, people are going to click on those businesses first. So reviews can help you rank, but at the end of the day, you need to be really active in trying to get close to matching your competitors. How I search for a lot of things is I open up different tabs. So those 3 businesses that rank, I open each one in a new tab. So ranking is going to get you there first. But then if there's a business that has like 3 times the number of reviews as their closest competitor, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling them first, or I'm reaching out to them first. So it's reviews can be the difference between you getting a customer and your competitor getting that same customer.
Carmen, anything that you'd like to add on?
I would say from my perspective, just not only pulling in the reviews, but making sure you're responding to them, especially negative reviews. That is first and foremost for us, for our company. Use that as a learning opportunity. It's your time to shine as a company. It's your time to shine on Google. If you respond on Google and then you're reaching out to this customer, you can really flip that situation around and it will benefit you down the road.
Awesome. Cool. Well, so before we jump into Q&A, let's go over some final takeaways. And this is just a recap of what we've covered today and what we felt was important to talk about. And the first is Google reviews is a ranking factor in the Google algorithm. If people are looking for best and you have a bunch of 1-star reviews, that's not going to trigger as best. And the next is Google cares about the quantity, the quality, and the velocity of reviews. I feel like we've said it 1,000 times today, but it's so important. And as Carmen just said, respond to your reviews. Even the negative ones, respond to them, whether it's an automated response that you can personalize depending on like a 3-star review, send this, a 2-star, send this, a 5-star, send that. Or if you want to just do it yourself, like personally and one at a time, that's fine. And that does add a great personal touch. And the next one is do not be afraid to ask for reviews. And when you do, make it easy for them to leave you a review. Do not ask them to jump all over the place, figure out how to get in and all that stuff. Make it as easy as possible. And the last thing is utilize an automated review management system. And that's basically just, it just makes your life easier. And that's all we're trying to do. And that's really it. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to make your business better on Google when people are able to see all of those reviews that you're getting and that you're responding to them. It builds that keyword I was saying earlier is trust, and it builds that trust whenever you're able to do that. So Carmen or Joey, do you have any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to add on to any of these final takeaways?
No, I'm excited to hear some of the questions.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's do that right now, and let's jump into Q&A. Oh, actually, sorry about that. We actually have a quick poll. And this is something that I have not done before, but I was really curious about this. And so we do these webinars and we focus on Google and SEO, and we like my goal for these is to just help as many people as I can learn how to be better on Google, take their local business and to new heights online. And so what I'd like to do now is ask the audience, what do you want to learn about? What in our next webinar, what do you want us to discuss? And so I've got this poll right here that we're about to launch. So that's it. So in our next webinar, what would you like to learn about? And we could talk about content marketing and SEO, influencer marketing, a breakdown of Google search's ranking factors, how user-generated content can boost SEO, and how to digitally transform your local business. Awesome. I'm seeing we're seeing some really cool, some really good numbers here. Awesome. I'm gonna have to do this more often. This is I like this. This takes a lot of work out for me. Now I know exactly what people want to learn about. I might have to ask you guys back on depending on some of these topics, Joey and Carmen.
Happy to be back. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm gonna close that, and it looks like a majority was content marketing and SEO. Awesome. Well, that's perfect because I mean, and that's one of those things. It's content. You know, it's like, what can I do? What can I put on my website that will help me rank? You know, how can I do it easily? Joey, I remember in our first webinar together, we covered some really awesome tips about content marketing.
Yeah, I was just going to say that could be a great resource for some of those folks that want to or actively want to learn. And that webinar exists on demand. Is that correct?
Yes. There's a webinar on demand on our website. And there's also a blog that we were able to create from that webinar where it kind of recaps everything. But I definitely recommend checking out the recording. And you can tell me how I did because that was one of my first ones. I was very nervous. So hopefully it's a little bit easier now. Awesome. So let's dive into Q&A. And the first question that I see is, actually, Joey, this one would be good for you. Where is it? Okay. And this is from Caroline, and she's asking, can you post reviews you received on Google onto your website, and does that affect SEO?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So Google's smart, right? Google knows that your Google business profile, where you get reviews, Google reviews, Google knows that that profile is connected to your website, right? And so if you copy and paste those reviews, I wouldn't say that you're going to go from page 5 of Google to page 1 of Google overnight because you copied and pasted a couple of reviews. However, it still is quite valuable. That is content that Google's going to crawl on your website. It's user-generated content. They're probably talking about your services. For example, if you're a florist, they're going to talk about how beautiful the bouquet was, or that they love the roses that they received. And now if someone searches for roses, florist in Portland that sells roses, you've got a better chance to rank. The other thing that's really valuable about that is users like testimonials. When they're on your website, if you add and copy and paste testimonials from the Google review to your website, as they're scrolling, that's a conversion activity. So not only is it additional content that Google's going to crawl, but it's actually the user is going to see that and say, oh, I trust this business a little bit more. I'm more willing to call, order online, schedule an appointment, whatever it is. So I would say it's a great activity. Don't expect transformational results overnight, but it's definitely that sort of 1% better every day. It's one of those things that's going to, make your website and Google performance a little bit better than it was the day before.
Awesome. And is there any kind of policy from Google around that? Is there anything like, oh, we don't want you to do that? They're happy.
Google's fine with that. Google knows that as a business, it's your kind of job to get customers and get clients. And Google knows that putting reviews on your website is a trust signal. And so Google would probably encourage that, right? Because it knows that that's something that is going to allow your website users to gain more trust in your services. And as long as you're not editing them and like tweaking the reviews of, they said this one sentence, so now I'm going to delete that because I don't like the way they worded that and I'm going to edit it. Let's say don't do that. Copy and paste as they are.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. I've seen one that's, what if the client doesn't have a Gmail account? How can they leave a Google review? Joey, have you seen anything about that? Like, I would assume, this is actually something I'm not sure about. If I were to not have a Google account, I wanted to leave a review, is that possible? Or if, and I can.
That's something that I don't have the answer to off the top of my head. I've never thought about it because I just assume
It
that.
feels like everybody does, yeah.
Right. And maybe the answer to that question is Birdeye, because if they push the review through Birdeye, they don't need a Google account to leave it through the Birdeye system. And because of the partnership between Birdeye and Google, Birdeye will push that review through to Google. Is that correct?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on this, but I'll make sure to go back through these questions if anybody's asked one, and I'll have somebody reach out to you with an answer. So don't worry if we're not able to get to your questions, we will get that. Let's see. Oh, we've got so many. It's like, and the screen is so little. I can only read a few words at a time before I have to go on to the next one. Let's see. Oh, here we go. What do you think about using keywords in your response to a review?
Yeah, I would say use it naturally. This is just SEO best practices across the board. Don't engage in keyword stuffing. My kind of test is, if you were to write something and the average person would read it and say, that's worded very strangely, then that's probably too much. Mm-hmm. If you say, we're so glad you enjoyed your massage, you use the word massage, right? Like, that's a keyword. Absolutely, that's totally a reasonable and valid way to enter in keywords. So I would say, absolutely, if you're going to respond to a review, try to throw in a keyword in a natural way, to where if you were to show it to your best friend and they know nothing about SEO or Google or anything, and they read it and they were like, yeah, that's a normal sentence, then you're good to go.
Awesome. And I've got another question for you, Joey, and then I've got one for Carmen. So the first one I've got is, what is the impact of user-generated content, specifically photos, being included in a customer's review?
Yes. User-generated content is super, super valuable. I encourage people on this call to do a very long tail query about your service. For example, I don't know why I think my back's a little stiff, so I'm thinking about a massage or something. I don't know, but I'm going to stick with the massage thing here. If I've got a sore lower back, I might go to Google and type in best massage in Portland for lower back stiffness. I don't know. That's how some people might search very long tail queries. And if someone wrote a review about, I had a my lower back was stiff and the massage helped, my lower back, Google pulls that text sometimes. So go to Google, do a bunch of queries, and you'll see in the Google local pack, Google pulls the user-generated content for reviews sometimes. And the more reviews you have, the more variations of user-generated content you have, the more likely you are to rank for a variety of queries, because Google can pull from more. To speak to photos, this is particularly valuable in aesthetic industries. If you're a florist, if you're a photographer, if you're any of those types of services where Google's smart, right? Google knows that the photos are going to have an impact. Those are even more valuable. However, someone comes through to Strickland Brothers and they take a picture of their car afterwards, even though they can't see the oil, it's going to add more value. It's another signal that's sent to Google. So user-generated content is huge. Photos are particularly important in aesthetic industries where before and afters, someone got a new roof, they took a picture of the before, they took a picture of the after. Hugely valuable for user-generated content.
Awesome. And Carmen, the question I've got for you is, with your with the way that Strickland Brothers handles their negative reviews, how often have you seen them change a bad review to a good review? Does that change and that edit happen?
It does happen. It happens, I would say 9 times out of 10 it happens. We just had our first annual conference a few months back, and a couple of our franchisees actually stood up and talked about how they've only ever not been able to win back one customer out of everyone they've contacted. And when they do that, they typically do go change their review when they have won them back. So it happens quite frequently.
Wow. And as Joey was saying, Google takes notice of that. They see that happening. I'm gonna go ahead and just push us to this. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to email us at events@birdeye.com. We will have someone reach out to you, and really, I mean, all we want to do is help and answer as many questions as we can. So I think we've got a few more here that we are able to answer. There's some here that are awesome, and I think I'm not the best suited, so I think we'll have some people reach out to you to make sure that we give you the best possible answer. So if you've noticed I'm not able to answer, or we haven't asked your question, that's why. I just want to make sure I can give you the best answer. So we'll have someone reach out to you. Let's see here. I think there might be one other one. Awesome. We've done a good job of answering these questions. A lot of them are kind of similar. So, one thing I did want to touch on is that we've received a couple of questions about the Gmail account, or a customer maybe not having one or having them log into. And I do know that within the Birdeye platform, whenever someone receives a review request through their phone or via text, and they click on that link that we provide with them, you have the ability to add multiple different options for your customers to leave a review. So it's not just one big Google link. You can click on the link and it'll show up with 3 to 4 buttons of the different review sites. Maybe it's ones that are more niche to your service industry or just your industry. So there is customization.
After some quick research on my end, it appears with 95% confidence that people can leave Google reviews without a Google account. So very confident on that, not 100% confident. I've never thought about it because I've never had an issue with it. I've never had clients have an issue with it, of like someone said they couldn't leave a review because of a Google account. Google, they want to dominate the world, sure, but they're giving people the ability to leave a review without a Google account. They're not like, if you want to leave a Google review, you have to create a Gmail account to do so. That does not appear to be a function of the review generation process. So whether they have a Gmail account or not, it appears that they can leave you a review.
Awesome. Cool. And so it looks like that's the questions that we can answer right now. If we weren't able to get to it, I will have somebody or myself reach out to you with a more better researched, prepared answer as well, because I really want to make sure that we give you the correct answer. So I don't want to talk out of turn or anything like that. So it looks like that is it for right now. If anyone has any other questions, if you're thinking about this because it was such an awesome presentation and you're thinking about it 3 hours from now and you're like, oh man, I should have asked that. Well, don't worry, email us at events@birdeye.com and we'll get to you and we will answer those questions. Also, be sure to register for an upcoming webinar with Search Engine Journal that I have on April 6th with author, professor, and expert Steve Wiedemann. He's a good friend of mine and we've done a couple of webinars together, and he's incredibly smart. And so you could check that out on the SEJ website. And if you haven't seen the previous installments of our Google series, you can access those recordings from our website. In one of those discussions, as we were talking about earlier, Joey provides his insight and his expert input and his 8 simple SEO tips on how to improve your Google ranking. So be sure to check that out. Also, if you need to get your oil changed, do a Google search for Strickland Brothers Strickland Brothers 10-minute oil change. I mean, from what I could see online, with 16,000 reviews and an incredibly high rating, they will treat you right, and they'll give you the great service that they've earned on Google. So with that being said, thank you, Joey and Carmen, so much for your time. I had a blast. I could talk about this with you guys for hours, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we'll catch you next time.